Okay.
Let's give it a go.
Well, you wanna lead us off?
Okay. All right. So today, everyone, you're joined by me, Raiden DeDominicus, one of your hosts of Two White Guys in a Wheelchair, and Erik,
Hello. How's it going, buddy?
another host from Two White Guys in a Wheelchair, and Violet. Hello.
Violet.
Where are you?
We also have a Weenier Dog with us today. That would be
Oh, there she is.
specifically Raiden's pet puppy. Not so much of a puppy anymore, but
Violet.
this is Violet.
Yeah, she's our special guest today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So today we thought we would take everyone kind of a little bit behind the scenes of our podcast and how
Our journey has gone so
how
far.
our and talk about kind of maybe the wins and the losses and the learning lessons we've had along the way.
And everything else in between.
Yeah.
Hey?
So Erik, how about we kind of dive right into it?
Let's do it.
Tell me what you've thought about our experience in hosting and trying to record a podcast, and what have been some of the wins and some of the losses so far.
To be honest, I thought it's gone really well overall as a whole. I mean, consistency is something that I think we could definitely work on and take time to kind of I don't know, set up parameters of just like a system that we can like rely on, kind of lean on moving forward, like on our podcasting journey.
Yeah.
But as a whole, I think it's gone well. I mean, we've had some very interesting guests that we've been able to bring on. I thought have, brought a lot to our podcast. I think that, you and I haven't been too shabby ourselves. But as a whole, I think, there's obviously room for improvement, as always. But I think on the whole, it's going well.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think?
Yeah, I would say I agree. However, I do think the consistency part has been
That's
really,
what's tricky.
and I think it's been I think there has been some external things.
I was about to say external factors that have popped up.
But that being said, I think I found myself kind of using those as like a good excuse to not do stuff.
I get that too.
Where it's like, oh yeah, something comes up and it's like, all right, I guess we'll just do it later. And I think in some cases there is areas where it's like,
stuff will actually pop up.
Yeah,
stuff like you can't avoid.
But there's some things where I just use it as okay, we can't
bit
record today, or there's like there's
it's something
minor that comes up where it's like, oh, I could just be working on something else.
Yeah, or like contributing to the podcast and like versus like not doing something in relation to.
Yeah,
I get that too, and I feel like I don't know, like as time goes on, I feel like I want to be more. I don't want to say committed because I am very committed to the podcast, but like more involved on a daily basis with my own role in our podcast. Like I want to be like this is my main priority.
Yeah.
Other than like it is in terms of like living. Yeah. But there's always stuff you can do to improve, and there's always minor things you can just work on. And as long as you're doing those little steps every day, whether they're baby steps or big gains. Yeah. I think that however it may be, you can do constructive and productive efforts to contribute to the podcast.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe let's kind of go off that. Let's focus on some things that we've done well. Okay. Yeah.
You want me to go?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. I think what we've done well is that I think we provide a very like conducive, is that the right word? Conducive space for our guests to open up about what they care about and what they do and how they go about their day to day. Because I think, like, for example, when we brought on a random one, Gianni, the fisherman, who is on I think it was episode 6 or 5 or something like that. I thought, he is someone who knows so much about what he wants to do and how he loves what he does. And I thought we gave him a good platform to explore kind of how he goes about what he loves and how he does it, which is fishing. And it's super interesting to see someone who's so passionate about what they love. And when we can give them that space and that platform to kind of break it down in a long format, I thought that was really cool.
I agree with you on, I think when we're able to hit kind of all things aside, like when we're in it, those are the best, like that's the best.
Those are the best.
And I think that's definitely a strength is the conversation side. I think we're strong conversationalists, so I think we
so too.
Give people the opportunity to talk about something maybe that we find interesting that they're doing or their viewpoint on something, and allowing them to kind of break it down in maybe a way that they haven't been able to break that down to someone before.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite part of kind of us doing this so far, is when we get into that moment where it's like, okay, tell me more about that, or explain more about that.
Or when you get onto like a roll with a conversation that gets like fun or funny or whatever.
Yeah. And
informative.
Yeah. That's the best part.
That's the bread and butter of it.
Yeah, that's what I think makes me want to do this, and that's the part I love. And dealing with all the stuff up part of it that I don't like. There's quite a few things that come up where I'm like,
there's a lot of things that are,
oh man, I don't like doing
not fun.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's part of the game, I guess. So you gotta play the game.
Yeah. Other parts that I like, I think we've done a good job of reaching out to it and then kind of like quote unquote like marketing it to the people.
I think so.
We know.
Yes, and word of mouth has been great.
Yeah.
From like, I was at a friend's birthday party on Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
And I had like maybe 20 people come up to me and bring up the podcast.
Nice. Yeah.
And it was really cool. Albeit they were, people we know or people know of.
Yeah.
Or somewhat connected to us. But still, it was very positive feedback.
Yeah. To me, those are the most important people to want to impress. Like for me, I care, not, to the viewers out there, not that I don't care about you, but it's like, I want the people in my kind of like closer circle to be like, oh, they're doing something interesting and cool. I want to know more about that.
For sure. And like, that's the feedback I tend to find that we get the most.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't think it's people just being nice or anything like that, because people, I from what I get, like, we get very sincere answers. We get a lot of people that are just genuinely curious about how we're doing, what we're doing, and what we're talking about. So I thought that's gone quite well.
I think so as well too. And then that's kind of one way that I kind of gauge feedback as well too, is like when someone kind of brings it up and talks about it, like for myself is like, how excited am I to be talking about it right now?
Yeah.
And there's times when when I feel like we've gotten like a couple wins with it in a row, where I'm just like, oh, this is like, like I'm excited about doing this. But there's other times where like I feel like, oh, like I've been putting off emailing this person, I've been putting off talking about this, or like setting up
like an actual like,
or getting through a roadblock that I haven't wanted to kind of get through.
There's been a few of those that have
where I find myself like, just like when I'm talking about it to someone, where I'm like, oh fuck, I've really got to be working on that kind of thing.
Well, and there's like, for example, like, not to get into details or anything like that, but figure out financing.
Yeah, that's been a struggle.
It's been a bit of a whirlwind.
Yeah,
and it's not something that it's not something I've experienced in.
Yeah.
Or am really.
Neither do I, and it's
I'm
like,
not in that world.
Yeah.
Because I went to university for a year.
Yeah.
And then wasn't for me.
Yeah.
So, but I was taking like finance courses and stuff, because I was in open studies, but a ton of them were business classes.
Yeah.
And it was just so beyond my scope.
Yeah.
But anyways, to bring it back to what we're going through right now with financing of the podcast, it's just a different world, and I'm trying to navigate it the best I can.
Yeah.
With you.
Yeah.
And it's been tricky.
It has been tricky, and it's a bit because we've neither of us have done this before, like a podcast, and it's kind of like
a business.
Or a business.
Well, I mean, I haven't.
I've kind of done it so far, but it's like and that's I think one of the things where we're brushing up against, where it's like
Yeah.
it's very it's procedural, and it's there's lots of little stuff, and like people who know me, I'm not a little steps guy. Like I jump like, okay, let's go. Like,
I get it. I get it.
Let's just do it.
Things.
Like I just want to do the part that I like, which is like sitting and talking with people in the interview. It's like I don't want to like go and like register a business. I don't want to go and do all this stuff. And then for me, it's like a bit of fear as well too. A bit of the unknown. It's like, okay, like we're registering a business. Like what does this do? It's
are we
like
gonna be liable?
Are we gonna be liable for shit? Like
how exactly.
And then for me too, it's like it's the scary part for me. I've been finding is. Or like one of the things or the mental blocks that comes up for me is like the advertising and trying to figure that out.
It's a bit of a bitch, like, to be honest.
Because it's like we're at this point where like I believe, and I know that we believe in the podcast, but it doesn't. It's like it's not at a point where we can really justifiably show someone like a third
well, we
party
can't bring
person.
it to like an executive and be like,
oh yeah, so sponsor us, and this is what you're gonna, or even if we do that, like talking to people and understanding how to pitch that to someone in a way where it's just like, oh yeah, I have a podcast with like 40 or 50 people who listen. But then it's like, okay, so why should I give you money rather than someone else? And that
what do I have to gain?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I tend to find that, like, in terms of the pitch and the advertising, I'm too open.
Yeah.
Like, I want to level with them. I want to lay out all my cards, but that's not how you go about business.
Yeah.
Well, it is.
Or maybe it could be, but it's like it's this big scary thing.
Yeah, and it's like, but you got to be smart about it, I guess. Well, I mean, you do, because you can't just lay out all your cards on the table and say, here's what I got. What can you? But I think it's very circumstantial.
Yeah.
It depends on who you're talking to, what you're talking about, and what you're asking for.
Yeah.
Because if let's say we want to ask, I don't know, co-op.
Yeah.
For a sponsorship.
Yeah.
Or advertising, whatever.
Yeah.
How
do you do that compared to like maybe like a family friend or someone who's like,
got like their own startup?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
like, I don't know how to bridge that gap.
Yeah, and it feels like kind of like a moving
target. It's a daunting task.
Yeah, it feels like this really weird dynamic thing because it's like okay, how am I connected? Does this person believe in what we're doing?
Yeah.
Does this person? And I don't know. I guess like that's one of those roadblocks, and I think it's good that we're talking about it right now because I don't know. Maybe if someone's out there who is also in this similar position or has kind of thought about this before, maybe reach out and tell us kind of the next step because we're not really sure how to. we kind of have an idea of how we want to go, but we're kind of learning on the fly here a little bit. And for me, that's been one of the more difficult things is like figuring out how to do that, and then also how to get over my own like psychological blocks that are.
I get it.
Yeah, because it's for me, it's like terrifying. It's like, okay, asking someone, it's like, okay, this is the situation we're in. You know, it's like.
I'm almost not. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say it's just like, you know, it's like okay, so we've put X amount of money in to get to where we are, and it's been great and it's been a lot of fun. But it's like okay, how
do we build on that?
Yeah, how do you build on that? How do you kind of what is the next step of that
constructive movement forward?
Yeah, because it's like I'm finding it's like okay,
I don't want to say we've plateaued or anything like that, but we're at a certain level.
Yeah,
where we need to break through the next barrier.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I completely understand, because I don't know how to go about that. Yeah, but I have faith.
Yeah, and I know. Yeah, I know it's there, and I know I want it, and I know I can put the work in to do it. It's just like
how do you figure it out?
It's like kind of like you're driving on a foggy road, and you're not really sure what direction you're going a little bit. Where it's like, okay, well, do I take a left neck here or right here? Like
it's like the video of a little off topic, but the guys driving through the forest fires.
Yeah,
and they can't see the road.
Yeah,
they end up on the dirt, like gravel. Where are we going? But in the back's like, I don't know.
Just keep going.
Yeah, exactly. But then they end up back on the road.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of where we are.
Yeah, I think that as well too. Because I think, and then there's been a good mix of stuff since our last in studio podcast where it's like, okay, so like you have like a home renovation going on, and then so I think that's been like a good I think that's been a actual third kind of third party thing that's been coming in from on your end.
Yeah, it has.
But I've been like
sure.
kind of like taking off that. It's like, okay, I don't have to do anything today, so I'm just going to focus on other stuff because it's like there's this. It's kind of like that thing that you're avoiding doing, and it's like,
there's a lot
I'm just gonna do something else.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna watch Netflix.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of like actually putting in the work,
doing
to do
something
this.
constructive for the podcast.
Yeah,
I get it. And I've used the renovation as a bit of an excuse too. Like first of all, I'm so thrilled that I'm doing this renovation and that it's gonna be, and I've made a lot of changes in life in general in terms of what I've been doing and how I've been spending my time and how I'm just going about life on the day to day.
Yeah,
which I'm very happy about. But I have also used it as a bit of a, I got stuff going on today. Podcast, it can wait.
Yeah.
But there's always something you can do, whether it be little, medium, or big, to help with the podcast and make it grow and to, make positive strides forward.
Yeah.
So I think it's about figuring out, and it's not like I'm done with the reno, but it is getting close to a point where
it's kind of coming.
I have roommates coming in at the beginning of July, and that's kind of the date. We won't be done, but we're going to be wrapping up on a few projects here.
Yeah.
So that means I'll have more time.
Yeah.
For the podcast,
yeah.
and which is something I need to commit to.
Yeah.
And just say, hey, I got to prioritize this because this is something I'm very passionate about.
Yeah.
And we're a team.
Yeah.
So we got to play like teammates here.
Yeah. Exactly.
We got to pull our weight.
Yeah.
So I think it's a matter of just kind of breaking through that psychological barrier, right?
Yeah.
Whether it be asking someone to come on who's a little intimidating, i.e. like a famous person or someone who is somewhat intimidating. Stuff like that. So,
I 100% agree. What was I going to say? And I think one of the interesting things we've, and this kind of goes back to one of the things we've done well, is I think utilizing our relationship with the studio, and specifically AJ, who's the studio manager.
He's been brilliant.
Yeah, he's been top-notch person.
Can we break down?
If you're thinking about starting a podcast, talk to AJ.
Well, let's break him down for you, the viewers, who AJ is.
Yeah. So AJ. Yeah. So initially, when Eric and I decided that we wanted to do a podcast, one of the things that we kind of came to the conclusion was that neither of us know anything about video editing, or we have a very kind of like
green.
Yeah, we're very green to the idea, the skill set of video editing, and actually of like what equipment do we need to record.
How do you go about starting a podcast?
Yeah, exactly. We knew that we liked podcasts, and we knew that we could talk to people.
Yeah.
We just, the part that we really weren't sure, I was like, okay, how the hell do we, even like right now, like the
functional structure.
I just got this little mic thing, and hopefully to God it's working, but I don't know.
We might be
as you can see, we're not in the studio space right now, and this has to kind of do with kind of maybe some of the roadblocks that we're coming up with.
Exactly.
It's like kind of the next step. It's like, okay, so we've put some investment in. It's like, okay, how do we get from now? It's
how
like,
do
okay,
we get our returns back?
It's like, how do we start kind of
making money off our idea?
Yeah, making money off our idea, just either to subsidize the cost or a little bit,
so we can continue.
Because we've kind of seen, so we can continue working with the studio. Because with AJ, we've seen it's like, okay, like this is what a pro does. Like this is how a pro handles this.
This is how a professional setting.
Yeah.
You got very serious equipment and people working with you, and they're also
and the
committed and passionate.
Yeah, exactly.
About what we're doing, which I found. When I hear that kind of encouragement and positive feedback, it makes me feel really good.
Yeah, and it makes me feel motivated to do it, to continue the process. Yeah. It's kind of like the, it's like having a good coach.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we've been finding that, super helpful. So anyway, so when Eric and I were kind of initially thinking, we're like, okay, we don't really know how to do it. We know that we want to do it. All right, let's figure out, let's ask our kind of network, or let's ask around, do some Googling, like who in our vicinity knows kind of what they're doing, so that we so that we can talk to them, so they can teach us how to do what we're doing, because we know we want to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And kind of through, I think it was through Google that I found Studio Luma, the studio, and then
which is a phenomenal.
Great facilities, great studio,
business.
And then so we set up kind of a meetup with
AJ.
Well, originally it was the head of the guy. I can't really remember his name. Sorry. Mike, maybe. Yeah, Mike.
God, I really hope I'm not.
And then Eric and I went to the studio. We met with him, but Mike, you're great.
I really hope it's Mike.
Yeah, I really hope it's Mike as well too. But the person who he connected with in that was AJ.
Yeah.
And AJ kind of talked with us about kind of what they could provide.
How they go about their process.
What their process is for this. They had kind of done a podcast before. I'm going to talk, but I'm going to leave and pick up my coffee. That's been, and it was really, I think, a good learning thing for us, because for...
Great experience and learning experience.
Yeah, because for Eric and I were like, okay, we don't really know what we're doing. I don't know really. Like, I can kind of use a camera, but not really. And it's like, okay, so we want to do the part that we know we're good at, which is, I think, talking with people, and
that's our skill set.
That's right. That's our wheelhouse. And then it's like, okay, so how can we be strategic and utilizing someone else who can help us with the parts that we're weak at? And I think that's what we did. And I think so far what we've gotten from that is that we've shown that, our strong suit that we thought we were strong at is what we're strong at.
Yeah.
And we have started to learn kind of these parts where we're weaker at. And I think the editing and the recording stuff, that's still we're still pretty noobs in that.
Yeah,
but I think we've kind of started to learn a little bit more. And I think the process we're in right now is learning that recording part.
The recording part and how we're going to do it on our own too. Yeah. Because when we're out and about, a little sneak peek, I'll give you guys a little hint, is our on the road stuff that we're going to be doing out in public.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that we will do most likely some with AJ, hopefully.
Yep.
And then some on our own for sure.
Yeah, because and that's a big part of it as well too. Is when we went into that is learning. Okay, this is where we're strong at, but we want to be able to do it kind of on the fly. I think Eric and I, we've talked about this where one of the things when we were younger that we really appreciated about, and one of the things that kind of your injury kind of changed for us was the ability to do impromptu shit. Because one of the things Eric and I used to really love doing was just. Because especially this would probably be a high school, university is hey, want to go see a movie? Yeah, let's go see a movie. And then you'd be able to go
exactly
right away.
Then and there.
But that's kind of with your injury, that impromptu-ness has kind of switched up our ability
it's a bit more of
there's more
coordinating.
Logistics.
Yeah, exactly.
There's more logistics. Not to say that it can't be done.
Yeah, but
and
it just
that we're
takes
not
a bit
doing
more
that.
effort.
It requires a bit more, because it's okay, so how is Eric getting there? What's
what time is it?
What time is
What's
it?
the
Is
weather
it practical?
looking like? Can I go outside to
Yeah, exactly. Does Eric have a ride? We have to coordinate a ride kind of thing. So it becomes a bit more sensible. That's one of the things with the podcast that we want to do is okay, let's say someone interesting is over at Eric's house and he's oh, hey, Raiden, someone's interesting here. It's we want to have an ease of use setup. So it's boom, we set up the podcast. It takes 5-10 minutes. Boom, we record. Boom, we tear down, and then we go about our day kind of thing.
Exactly.
So that's kind of what that's kind of sneak peek. That's kind of what we've been kind of working on. And this is we're testing this right now. Is we have a tripod, we got an iPhone, we got a little mic. Does this work? Are we able to do a podcast
in such format?
In such a format, we're at Eric's mom's house right now, and there's kind of people walking in and out of the background. For the most part, it's nice and chill and quiet.
Yeah.
But I have my Weenier Dog here, and she rips around. Can we do an impromptu in a more chaotic setting? And that's something we're kind of working towards, because that's kind of what we want. Is okay, do we want to go and set up downtown one day? Can we do that? Right now, it will be we've never done it before, but we'd like to go and try so that we can
post
figure
up
it
in
out.
front of a bar.
Yeah.
Talk to the civilians.
Yeah.
and just kind of see how that goes.
Yeah.
Because I think that'd be super fun.
I think it'd be super fun as well too. And that's like we have like a little kind of not script but outline that we're going off is like talking about engagement with people, engagement with like our community or like fans or something like that. Or what did we call our slaves?
Or what?
Our like the people who watch.
Oh yeah, our listeners.
Yeah, and figuring out how to engage with
our
people.
Slaves.
Yeah. Engage with people who watch our show more,
Yeah.
or who watch our show, or who like, or who we want to have on the show, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And learning how to engage with them in like in a
sincere,
in like a sincere way.
Fashion,
Because the way I like to engage with people is face to face and talking with them. But that's hard to do through a phone, through on like, or there's like in order to get that authenticity across, or through a screen, it requires like it's like a skill set to be able to do that. And I think that's what we're trying to learn is like, okay, like how do I communicate authentically with someone on Instagram? Is it possible? Yeah, probably. But it's like, do I know how to do that? Not really.
A bit more of a dance.
Yeah,
probably.
like it's tough because it's like, because like that's one of the things I don't want to come across as well too. Is just like communication is for the sake of like it's like no, it's like I want to be like, oh hey, like A, I appreciate you. B, it's like, okay, we want to coordinate something, or like, oh hey, what's going on with you? It's like kind of thing, and like how, because I like doing that face to face when I see someone, like when I want to catch up with someone, like, oh hey, what's going on with you? Tell me about your life, like catch me up. But it's a bit harder. I don't know if I have the skill set yet to do that kind of like in an online setting. But if that makes sense.
No, it does. Like for me, I personally, I think I can, because I've gotten like I'm very accustomed to it. Yeah. But I don't know. Like, are we talking FaceTime here? Because that's different.
I think kind of the whole idea of like, it's like connecting your online self to your real self and interacting with people in authentic ways on kind
whether
of like
it be Instagram or Snapchat.
Kind of like a couple different platforms, but like it all kind of comes across where it's like you're aligned on kind of all the different things.
I don't know. It's tricky. It's tricky for sure.
I think it's a skill, but it's like one of those skills where it's like
you have to work on it.
My biceps in that skill are not very strong.
Not aligned, yeah.
I think they're becoming stronger, but at the same time, it's like, it's it's not where I'd like it to be, I guess I should say.
No, I get that. And
speaking of that, keep talking. I'm just checking on this.
I just don't know what it like. I don't know. I think that's just something we're gonna have to go through the motions with to try and figure out how we're doing on that and how to get better at it too.
Yeah.
How's the recording setup looking?
The recording setup, not great. My iPhone storage is full, but that being said, we got the voice still. Yeah, which is good. So we'll figure that out in post, kind of thing. But let me delete some stuff as we, so for the viewers who are listening.
Yes.
As you can see, this is one of the reasons why.
One of our obstacles that we've just encountered.
That we are continually working on is actually because that's like one of the really awesome things about working with AJ is that
he gets it.
He gets it and he deals with all this stuff. Where it's like a problem comes up, like he's
knows. He's like, I know how to fix that.
Yeah, I know how to fix this. Before like we started recording this, it was like I don't know, 20 minutes of me trying to figure out how to use these bikes. Okay, so let's see here. Bought iCloud, so I think it's trying to dump everything on it, and then
I see. Here you Ian, you should watch one of our podcasts.
I will.
Watch the Alfred one, maybe.
Yeah, I should. Where's the best place to? YouTube?
YouTube, probably.
Yeah. It's
For video.
It's everywhere.
It's on Apple, Spotify,
Yeah.
YouTube.
So wherever you get your podcasts.
Yep.
Okay, so we're recording on there again.
Okay.
Audio
we're
should
good?
be kind of seamless.
Nice.
I got our little intro, or our, because look at this, so it was,
Wow.
yeah, so I think it's like trying to dump everything onto
Yeah.
iCloud, but it's like
I see.
60, it just got super confused, I think.
Okay.
So this, part of the roadblocks that we're dealing with is,
Technology.
yeah, technology and,
Are in
less so technology, more of the human to technology interface.
human error.
Which has been kind of the, which we knew was going to be the big struggle when we
Yeah.
started.
Exactly.
We knew that's like where we were kind of least on it.
Yep.
But that's where, like, we know it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
We know, there's a famous saying like, what one man does, another can surely.
Yeah.
Or something like that, where it's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I know that we can do this. It's just about learning. And
Precisely.
okay, you're coming back with me. I'm gonna put you in jail, in air jail. So,
The hands of prison.
okay, so we're
rolling.
rolling. All right, so I think when we got cut off there, we were just
Yeah.
talking about some of the
Challenges.
some of the challenges that we've kind of come across and some
Yeah.
of the things that we've done well versus
What we haven't done so well.
what we haven't done so well. So
Yeah.
and one of the things I think I haven't done so well is because we've had AJ, I think I've been lazy on the teaching myself how to edit side.
I get that. I've been very complacent in terms of like the TikTok stuff
yeah.
and like other stuff like that. Like I want to like progress at that, but there's also the learning curve.
Yeah.
That you just have to get over.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of one of the things where I'm just like, where it's been nice with AJ, because it's just like, hey, we just want this recorded, we want to put it up there, and boom,
Yeah.
he does it. He's able to
Exactly.
do it. And that's super nice. But I think it's kind of, and the other second nice thing, it's at the production kind of value that we want it to be.
Yeah.
Because when we interview someone, it's like, because it's about kind of like, that's one of the things I've noticed too, is it's a bit about, it's making the other person feel comfortable.
Yep.
And kind of one of the things where I think we've not necessarily struggled, because I think the Zoom, like the
Yeah.
couple Zoom interviews we've done have been good.
Yep.
But we struggle with this kind of setting where
Yeah.
it's like someone in person,
Yeah.
and it's usually me trying to figure out the tech side of it, and that's where it's just like the other person, and I think it's the other person can feel my tension as well too, where it's like, okay, shit, is this iPhone gonna work? I don't know. So
Are
like,
we
why?
comfortable? Like,
Yeah, and where it's like for me, like even right now, I can feel it where it's like, fuck, I hope this is recording. Or with my phone, it's like, okay, like how much did we actually get of the video there? And then I'm 80% sure that we're getting the audio.
Yeah. Am I
Which
in
is
my
good.
audio right now?
Yeah, we're both.
Okay.
Yeah, we're both
okay.
recording
Okay.
on
Yeah,
the audio
exactly.
side still. So, and that's kind of like where I know my skill set's not there yet, because I want to have a nice production value where the person
We
who
can do
comes
it.
on is like doesn't have to work, like isn't
It's
thinking
taken care of.
It's taken care of, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not thinking about that either, right? Where it's like, okay,
Which I know we can get to. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of, like you said, trial and error.
yeah, and kind
This
of
type
like
stuff.
and learning and like putting in the
Yeah,
work to learn.
exactly.
Because like
We
I
gotta
think
put
that's
the
one of the
effort.
things where it's like, oh yeah, like I'm kind of learning, but it's like I'm not really putting in, I think, as much work as
100%.
Yeah.
Or like 90%.
yeah, where I'm
effort.
just like, okay, it's like, yeah, but
65.
but AJ can
Yeah.
do it kind of thing. So
Exactly.
um,
What's crazy too is the AI
yeah, that was
that
cool.
is editing, the self-editing
Yeah.
software.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a tool that we'll be able to use if AJ isn't available per
Yeah.
se,
Yeah.
for a certain episode or whatever. I know we're gonna work with AJ in the future, which I really look forward to because
Mhm.
he's a really nice and cool guy.
Yeah.
But if, let's say there's a week where you can't edit it in
Yeah.
a certain time frame,
Yeah.
we can use that.
Yeah. And we can use that, or like we have to. I think we have to be able to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Manually, which I don't want to do. But like, even just saying that, I'm just like, fuck, I really don't want to learn. I don't want to learn to do that. I don't want to do that.
God damn it, this thing forever.
Yeah.
But yeah,
but I think it's a bit of part of the process, part of like
sure.
the grind, and not even so it's like the same production value, just like so it's getting it to a point where I think maybe that's something like kind of getting our videos edited, not so it's like so super great or anything, just that it's watchable.
It's out there.
It's out there.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah, because like even for this, it's like right now, like we're gonna have like a probably a big gap in the video, but our audio is still gonna be there. And then so maybe this will be even like a nice project for me to work on, where it's like, okay, how do I get this together so that like I know how to use this setup for next time? Because I think like we said, like that's where we want to get to, where it's like we can set this up in pretty impromptu.
It's easy, it's comfortable, and we're proficient at it.
Yeah,
I agree.
100%. So, that's kind of
that's that.
That's that.
What else do we got on our
little outline here?
Take a gander, shall we?
Okay, memorable moments. What are some memorable moments?
Oh wow.
For
Okay.
you so far? Because let's see who. So we've had Malcolm.
We've had Malcolm. We've had Brian and Mason. We've had Gianni. We've had Logan Smith. Alfred.
John Buckingham. Alfred.
Dawn.
And we have Logan Friedman, but we haven't released that one yet.
Yeah,
so.
no, not yet. So that's 9. And then we have some in the waiting in the wings.
Yeah. That's what I think that's like been the scary one as well too. Like people who,
or someone intimidating.
Yeah, or like I'm scared about our setup here, like our like a non-studio setup, and having that person feeling as comfortable as in the studio, because that's like one of the great parts about the studio is that you go in, you put your headphones, everything's taken care of, no one has to think about anything except the conversation that you're having. Whereas like for this one,
there's a bit of pre-setup.
But I'm not at that same level where I'm like comfortable with someone like, oh, come on in. Yeah. Like,
here we go. Here's your coffee.
Yeah, kind of thing.
All good to go.
Yeah, and I think we can get there. It's just like I'm scared to bring more like people who I maybe don't know as well on.
Yeah.
To have that conversation.
Like,
I'm sure I think that's like a mental block.
I think so too.
Yeah.
We have people that we want to bring on, and I think some of them, and it's tricky because I don't want to say some should be in the studio and some should not.
Yeah.
But in terms of our relationship, I think it's easier to kind of finesse some of that stuff. You know what I mean? Not because it's like one is more higher profile or whatever. Yeah. It just depends on how well you know the person, really, and how comfortable you are with it. For example, bringing them into your home. Yeah. Stuff like that. So.
And that's like one of the interesting things about this is like those interesting nuances that come up where it's like, it's very much like these interesting like relationship management kind of positions that you get kind of put in, especially like because you notice there's like is this more professional? Like what is my relationship with this person kind of thing, or is it is this going to be a more professional setting or a more personal setting? Those weird things where it's in between.
Well, I think a good example for that would be Alfred. Yeah. Because that was I've known Alfred for a very long time, but I don't know him as well as, say, a different one of my dad's friends. Yeah. And for all the listeners out there, Alfred was my father's business partner, and Alfred is now the CEO and president or director or something rather of Paraday Energy,
a big natural gas
traded
company,
oil and gas company. So that was intimidating. It was, and not because I was nervous around Alfred, but it was the subject matter that I'm not well versed in.
Yeah.
But regardless, I find it fascinating as hell.
Yeah.
But it's like, how do you walk the line of professionalism as well as comfortability, which I think is something that we're still working on, still learning, figuring out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or the other way around, I've been finding is like when it's a more personal conversation or like a more personal relationship where you are comfortable with the person, it's like, okay, how do you, those are like fun, but and I really enjoy those, but it's like, okay, how do you ask them like kind of like deeper conversations, more serious conversations, like, okay, like, it's like, yeah, I watched you like do something really stupid when we were younger, but it's like, okay, you're trying to develop yourself into a more professional, like kind of like.
How do you walk that line between?
How do you be respectful to both of those persons, right? Because like that person, like kind of everyone has
their future version of themselves,
or they have many different versions of themselves, and sometimes one version is more at play than the other version. Yeah. Or one version is you're trying to develop. And this used to be kind of you, but now you're trying to walk in a different kind of direction.
Shoes,
And okay, so how do you respect that person that you once were?
Like, how do you navigate
while still
that
talking
line?
about?
Yeah, no, I get it.
While paying respect to who you want to be or who you are now, kind of thing.
I think discretion is huge. Yeah, certainly, and I think that.
I think it's interesting.
Like
it's not good, bad. Like it's just something I've noticed.
It's quirk.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's a nuanced thing that you kind of have to learn how to.
It's an interesting thing
make your way through.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's just something I've noticed, like something that you run into when you're doing.
Do you have an example that you'd want to bring up? Because I have a quick one that I could bring up.
Sure, yeah.
Like when we were on with Malcolm.
Yeah.
And it's like I was, I'm curious about how the business works and how that was going. But I slipped up personally and I asked him like a pretty personal question about the financing. And he's like, you know what, maybe we'll, and that's a mistake on my end, but it's something it was a learning experience too. Because it's like, you don't want to overstep, but you still want to get down to nitty gritty, and there's ways you can do that. Yeah. But without asking overtly like direct questions.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think for me. I think it's been more in. I think for me it's more off camera stuff. It's like in the
like the prelude.
The prelude to like asking someone on or asking.
Like what they're comfortable with?
Yeah, with what they're comfortable with. It's like, okay, it's like, because like, I guess like for some people, it's like, when you bring it on, it's like, yeah, it's like a pretty personal thing to be putting yourself out there. Yeah. And people have different levels of comfort into how much they want to be out there kind of thing. Yeah. And I don't know, it's been, like I think like the paramount is like making sure that the person who we're interviewing or bringing on is comfortable
with the subject matter. What we're talking about. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I just find it's been, I don't know, because I like to like introspect on that kind of stuff. I just find it kind of interesting. It's like, okay,
I think it is too.
This is where this person's at, or this is where this person's at, kind of thing. Yeah. And I guess I'm still excited about like how that goes on, because it's like we haven't done too many people. And I'm sure there's much more to learn as well too. But I think that's been one of the fun things about, it's because you're kind of discovering, you're kind of discovering the person that you're interacting with as well too. At the same time,
it's a very intimate experience.
Super, yeah. But it's like it's really fun.
It
like,
is,
yeah. It's like a joy. It's like I find it like a joyous.
Joyful experience.
Like it's like it's like kind of like the whole process, like the before, the during,
the during and the after. It's the whole thing is a how do you say this? It's it's a joyful experience. Yeah. And depending on Well, I guess it depends on how it goes.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I would reckon to say that it's fun and people have a good time when they're on.
Yeah, I would say so as well too.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on a little bit here. I think this goes with listener. So we have like, and we've talked about. We've kind of hit all of these, kind of going back and forth. So maybe we'll hit each one of these and then we'll kind of maybe do a wrap up kind of thing. So one, and we've talked about this before, but like listener interaction, and
that's the one we're gonna have to experiment with. I think.
Yeah, because that's what we've been, and we talk about kind of like what we've heard from people, and like people are like you talked about people coming up to you, like what I for me, for like the friends who have like brought it up to me, I find that there's two groups. There's the people who have like listened to the podcast, and then the people who have seen the reels that I've posted on it. Yeah. And it's like, and it's funny because they're like very different people. For sure. And
that you're right. Because like the one criticism I've found is not about the quality or anything like that. It's the length of our podcast. But that's not something I'm particularly willing to change. Yeah. Just because, and I don't know what your feelings are on that, but I feel like it's the right way to have a conversation and get down to the fundamental, thoughts and principles and morals of whatever that subject is. Yeah. Because you can't break down a conversation such as like, I don't know, your soul or religion in like an hour. Yeah. Because there's so much to talk about. Yeah. Or whether it be sports, or whether it be entertainment, or whether it be
whatever it is.
Literature, stuff like that. Politics. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I think we're getting a call.
Yeah. Phone lines coming in. People want to know.
Who is? We do it. Can I call you later?
Yeah.
Perfect. We were talking about.
Yeah. Same technology thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
Ergo, more technology stuff.
Where were we?
We were talking about interactions with people, the reels.
The length and stuff like that. Politics.
Yeah, and I don't want to compromise on that either.
I don't think we can.
Yeah, because I like that, but I think what we can do is like,
make it a more watchable in terms of our structure. Is that what you're gonna say?
No. What I was gonna say is make it more focus on hitting like the
morsels.
Getting like using like the reels and the TikToks or whatever to kind of like
draw people in.
Yeah, or like distill the conversation a little bit to like, okay, what is the idea of the conversation
that they're having? And kind of give them a tidbit of what we're actually talking about.
It's kind of like a preview to the conversation.
Okay, yeah, I get what you're saying.
Okay, like here's, it's like if we take like whatever the number is, like 3, 5, 6, 10, you take those things and what you're trying to do is like in that snippet, it's like really distill down. This is the essence of what the conversation is. It's like kind of like we have like the 2-liner for our podcast, which is like people like interviewing interesting / cool people in or around Calgary and / who are tangentially connected to Erik and Raiden. It's like that for the conversation, and that's what you're gonna get in like the reel or the TikTok kind of thing. Yeah. And I think that's like a skill set that we can develop.
Work on.
Yeah, and it's like, and like one of the things for me, it's like playing around with the different features on TikTok and like the editing thing, because that's one of the things I like is like I like using the fun. That's what I've been enjoying is the fun features because it makes it fun to make.
Exactly.
Right. It kind of takes the daunting part out a little bit.
It's a bit more unique.
Yeah, it's like kind of like I'm excited to be making this rather than like shit, I gotta figure out how to do this kind of thing. But it's like okay, I'm figuring out how to do this, but I'm also get to be creative and fun while doing it as well too.
I really like the visual ones. Yeah. I like it when it's our voice, but I really like the visual ones.
Yeah, me too. I agree with that. What else? So for interactions, I think that's like one of the areas we can kind of improve on is like we have our main conversation, but then using those tools to kind of use it to
build on.
Lessons learned.
That's a big one. There's a lot that we've learned, I feel like, in terms of how we prioritize our time,
Yeah.
how we go about our interviewing skills and our questionnaire, abilities.
Yeah.
Stuff like that for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
What about you?
For me, it's been on the people management side.
Yeah.
Like learning for a couple things, like learning how to manage myself and manage
Our time.
our
sort of,
time,
I think.
but also like gauging someone's interest in like coming on.
Yeah, that's a fine line as well.
Yeah, and kind of like being like, okay, like they're excited, they need coaxing,
Yeah.
or maybe
We gotta
don't come on too strong, like relax,
which
rate
I've done.
Because I definitely like. There's been points where it's like, come on my podcast, and I'm just like, Raiden, you just met that person, shut up.
I know someone who has a pretty prominent podcast.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I see what you've done. And we hadn't done anything up until that point. Fuck. But, I have a feeling like we can get him on down the line.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways.
Yeah, yeah. So, learning that part, I think, has been a good, like, it's an ongoing lesson. And then the technical side for me, it's like the biggest piece for me to swallow. Because I think it's like, there's so much to know and learn. And I just don't find myself enjoying that too much. But it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, okay, Raiden, like if you want to do this more, like if you want to like have more of these conversations, which is truly the part that I love, like that's the part that I like. You gotta be willing to put in the work to learn this stuff.
Exactly.
Because it just makes things way easier if I'm the person who knows kind of what's going on.
Yeah.
And AJ has been a great coach and a great kind of resource and mentor to have. Because I can call him up and be like, okay, like this is what I'm trying to do.
How the fuck do we do this?
Yeah, and he can point me in the right direction, and that's been super awesome. So that's kind of relax. Hey. Well, what? Yeah, this is Violet talking about lessons learned.
Exactly.
I agree. I concur, Violet.
Hey, Violet. Hey, little girl.
Oh my goodness, Violet's breath smells awful. Gotta brush your teeth. Looking ahead.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So this one
first.
we got some. So I'll say the sub things, then we can kind of go from there. So, future plans, goals for podcast, teasing upcoming episodes, which we've already done. Or exciting collaborations, inviting listeners to engage and share their thoughts, kind of thing. So,
looking forward. Okay, well, looking forward to bringing on several guests that we have in mind is something a big one, and merchandise. Yeah, something I'm very looking forward to. Yeah, we have some plans in the works, but we'll table that for now. Yeah. Oh, just a little sneak peek.
Yeah, and I'm
a little tidbit.
Yeah. I'm super excited about, kind of figuring out this we call it kind of like the mobile setup. Yeah. That's what I'm excited about. And I think that today is going to be a good example, whether it's, it'll be a good kind of project to kind of like, to get myself more confident in that. What I'm also looking for, I'm looking forward to everything you just said as well too. But just getting becoming more confident with the mobile setup, I think is the big one.
More capable.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. I guess the teasing one is we'd like to. So if you're manage a space or would be interested in us being somewhere in your area and us doing our podcast at your space.
Our pop-up podcast.
Yeah, our pop-up podcast. Hit us up. Let us know. We'd love to. We're
always looking for collabs.
We're always looking for collabs, but also I think those things help us like flex our muscles in that way. And they're good. It's like going to the gym. It's it's good for us to do.
And those gains.
Yeah. Yeah. So hit us up. And then also, for those listening, let us know what you think about it. Whether it's whether you see the reel or watched an episode
in its entirety,
let us know because we're
we love feedback.
Yeah, we love feedback, and then let us know what you think we could do better or what we should do more of. kind of thing, because
Yeah.
I think that it's helpful for us to gauge.
Yeah, like if you guys have certain topics or certain types of people you guys want to talk to
Yeah.
or want to hear from at least.
Yeah. Let us know. I think that's
exactly
important
very
for
important.
us to kind of get a gauge of like what people are.
You guys are why we are
yeah,
here.
Yeah.
So it's like
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're interested in talking about stuff, but we're also interested in what you're interested in, or like maybe we're not interested in what you're interested in, but we're interested in exploring what you're interested in. I think that's like we're curious. Like we're curious
very
people.
open-minded people. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
So okay, conclusion. Expressing gratitude to listeners, supporters, encourage audience participation, feedback, closing remarks, and farewell.
well, I think we just gave you guys a bit of feedback here.
Yeah.
As we said, we're always looking for potential advice or feedback or however you guys want to contextualize how you're feeling about us. But either way, we appreciate the views. We appreciate your time and putting it into us. There's words can't really go into describing how much we appreciate that. But I like to I think I can speak for both of us when I say thank you. And
thank you. We appreciate the listens. I've got a couple people who will text me and say like, oh, like just listening to this part, that's funny. Or, oh, I just listened to this person. This is interesting. Or I really appreciate that stuff. That stuff's really fun. Like I like talking with thank you to the guests who come on.
Yeah.
Putting yourself out there.
Violet, as our special guest, thank you.
Thank you for coming out, Violet.
You were very well behaved.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, your breath is
appreciate it.
absolutely awful, but
We'll
you know
have to fix
what?
that.
People can't smell through the phone or
No,
through their
they
screen,
can't.
so
You're welcome.
that's totally fine. But on a more serious note, I think we both really appreciate people taking the time to listen.
Exactly.
And I think
Signing off for now.
Signing off for now. Thanks for listening to our
Captain.
our mobile setup, and we look forward to doing more of these going forward in the future.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cheers, people.
Take care.
Bye. All right, so now I think what we do is I hit. Oh.